Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. I'm getting up there in age, I'm getting a little bit crustier with each passing day, and I hate being like, those young people. But seriously, think about a good portion of Gen Z and mostly Zoomers who are some of the most obnoxious people you'll ever see on the internet. They have caused irreparable harm with some of the rhetoric they commonly spread on social media. What's ironic is those people will make fun of their parents, for example, and boomers like that for getting manipulated by the media and things like that. Meanwhile, these young people are getting manipulated by places like TikTok and Twitter, which is far more embarrassing, by the way. Seriously, these people will allow someone with 50 mental illnesses listed in their bio who identifies as an it/squirrel, convince them that they need to turn themselves into the police over drawings. It's really funny at times to point and laugh at this crazy rhetoric that they spread, but it's also very concerning because a lot of these people genuinely believe some of the misinformation that's out there. And today we're going to look at some tweets that are related to that whole narrative. So we're going to start with this one right here. Let me read it first and we'll go over it. So it says, "The worst thing is realizing that you're growing older than all of your favorite characters and you can't simp over them the same way you used to because then you'd be accused of being a creep because they're all younger than you. Me growing older than all the Fruits Basket characters, like, can I still call Taru my wife?" And that has almost 30,000 likes, this tweet, by the way. And here's the thing. Do not flame this user. Like, I'm not angry at them. I'm not anything like that. I genuinely feel sorry that they have these concerns. A lot of young people, you can see it in the replies to this tweet, this is a genuine concern for people. They are afraid that once they turn 18 years old, that they just can't like any characters if they're underage. Not even talking about, jerking off to them or anything. I'm saying just admiring and being fans of underage characters that they consumed when they were younger. That is a really sad thing that they're faced with because they genuinely believe that their friends and peers will turn on them and call them a predator over behavior like that. That is sad. Like, I feel bad for people like this. And my word of advice on this subject, not only to someone like this, but really anyone watching this video, if someone's gonna treat you like this, if you have to walk on eggshells around your friends or acquaintances over things as simple as drawings, you better just cut ties. Like, it might suck in the short term to lose people like that, but trust me, it'll feel better in the long run because those people, they're gonna turn on you eventually, okay? It's just a matter of time. Like, don't try to walk on eggshells around them to make sure this never happens because it will happen eventually. But nonetheless, let's move on to this post right here. Now, this one is talking about Gen Z, but I also think it applies to Zoomers. They say the same thing. It's basically a little comic strips here saying, that older generations are like, oh, kids these days, they're so cringe. But the cringe turns out to be love and acceptance from Gen Z and other younger people. Have you been on Twitter or on the internet? These people are the most vicious individuals you'll ever see in your life. I cover on this channel all the time. There's no coincidence that most of the antis and the worst actors online, they're always young people from either the Zoomer generation or Gen Z. It's always those people. They make up the vast majority of antis. They are some of the most unhinged and unaccepting people you will ever see. They are accepting until the second you do something that they don't agree with, and all of a sudden, they want you dead. They literally want you dead. I mean, I cover so many of these things. A week ago, we saw an artist who was a disabled cancer patient get doxxed after a minor, a 15-year-old, found their not safe for work art and then made a viral post slandering them because they didn't like seeing their icky drawings. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. There is no love and acceptance here. It is a lot of visceral, angry rhetoric that basically says anyone who disagrees with me deserves the worst. That is what we're used to on social media. But another thing about these people is that it's sad to see the younger generations being, or at least pretending to be, the biggest Puritans you'll ever see. They are way worse than the 90s soccer moms everyone likes to remember. They are way worse. But here's the thing. Oftentimes, they are exactly the thing that they're pretending to hate. They have the exact same kind of content that they're judging and smearing others for. And here's an example of that. So this Twitter account posted a preview of their crowd-funded project. It is a video game loading screen for their project, okay? Seems very fair and innocent. Good, their crowdfunded project's going well. Well, this user was very upset in the replies, saying, "What the hell is this incel stuff, and why did it get recommended to me? Imagine being so pathetic you have to play a video game to get off." My brother in Christ, it is a loading screen. You are calling someone an incel and pathetic and talking about them getting off when you're presented with a loading screen. I sense projection on your part. And you can see, thank God at least they got jumped in the quote retweets. 4 likes, 114 quotes. You'll love to see it. But of course, as always with these accounts, you gotta check out their profile, okay? So they're calling people degenerates over a loading screen, and yet their most recent tweet is hardcore furry artwork, which their whole account is dedicated to, by the way, including very hardcore fetishes, which, by the way, more power to you. You can like that stuff as much as you want. I have absolutely no business here. But please don't go around on the internet calling other people incels and degenerates and losers over a loading screen. A loading screen. And while we're here, I can't help myself when I see this stuff because it actually drives me insane. So down here they have TERFs and chuds to the gulags with this lovely little symbol here. So I don't know if this user's just not aware or misinformed or whatever. If you lived under a communist regime, the best outcome for someone like you would be working in the mines. Like, you will not be granted the authority of furry armchair Twitter philosopher. You'll be working in the mines, okay? And if you love communism so much, why don't you move to China? Because God forbid, you don't want to know how the Chinese Communist Party would treat someone like you. Literally, half of these things listed in your bio are criminalized under that communist regime. So, like, it actually upsets me to see people bootlicking regimes that literally hate you. They literally hate you. And I don't understand why someone like this is using that as an own on the chuds and the TERFs when they hate you far more than those groups. In fact, they probably don't even care about those groups. It's just sad to see, and it's just like another example of like young people consuming and labeling themselves things they have absolutely no understanding of, to the most ridiculous, hypocritical results. But we're moving on to another thing. Consistency is something also that a lot of these young people don't have. They like to have one standard that works for themselves, and they won't accept anyone applying that standard the same way to other things. So this user says, the sexualization of 2D male characters is a fundamental pillar of feminism, by the way. Huge part of women's rights is the ability to tweet stuff like, I want a motorboat, male titties. Okay, that's fine. Well, guess what? There's a reverse version of this statement that you have to be okay with too, right? As pointed out by people in the hidden replies, saying, so I get to sexualize my 2D anime waifus then. Too late, they already did. And of course, they are hiding the nep in the hidden replies. Clearly, they don't like this double standard being put back to them. And it was pointed out by this user as well, who said, hey, if men can sexualize 2D female characters, it's only fair that women get to sexualize 2D male characters. I just think it's weird that male fans are the ones that are treated like creeps when they do sexualize female characters, and talk about they need to get rid of the male gaze and acting like only male fans do that type of stuff, which is something that we'll talk about in a minute. But then this user came in and said, with a quote retweet of that, saying, because women are already largely sexually objectified by men in real life and not the other way around, and this isn't even a personal coincidence thing, it's a behavioral encouraged by the patriarchy men benefit from. Hope this helps. It's always passive-aggressive responses, by the way. But they go on to say, it's not even bad that men find 2D women sexy or anything. They are just usually seen as creeps because they tend to find attractive in women / how they sexualize women is creepy, usually rooted in misogyny or pedophilia. Yeah, me when I'm a misandrist who thinks that any man who finds a woman or even a 2D character attractive, it must be rooted in misogyny or pedophilia, of course. But anyways, I find this whole thing to be absolutely ridiculous. Not just the double standard here, But the fact that women are just kind of left out of the equation, like what happens if a woman wants to sexualize a female character? Is that okay? Are you going to start throwing stones at them and judging them? Don't really understand that. But there's also just the glaring hypocrisy that, yes, men are sexualized too. Like, I don't know if this person's ever heard of the yaoi tag. If they saw that, their mind might explode because there is an infinite archive of men and male characters being sexualized, primarily also drawn and illustrated by women and mostly consumed by women, by the way. It is very popular with women, and that exists. So don't act like there's nothing out there. And you can go to like your local bookstore and find in the teen section, there's plenty of like romance novels sexualizing men and doing things like that. That's not like anything new, but the fact that these people just can't handle the double standard is, well, predictable, of course. But moving on, this is like kind of a darker one, but I think this tweet really captures a lot of people's feelings on this whole subject, and it's a very sad feeling that these people have. So it says, describing themselves, be groomed as a kid, grow up developing EUPD, an attachment to your abuser, go to therapy. Therapists suggest art therapy in a form of writing to stop seeking out abuser again. You project yourself onto the victim. Random user on Twitter, you're a possible predator. I see this happen every single day into some of the most gross and discouraging responses you'll ever see. You will lose faith in humanity seeing this cycle play out, and I see it all the time. So basically, people are rightfully told by their therapists to use their arts, their music, their writing skills as a form of a coping mechanism for their child sexual abuse. It is something that is any licensed therapist would support. Don't listen to Twitter. Twitter can't cite anyone when they say that this is an unhealthy thing. It is a healthy thing to do. It is proven. And yet, people will come across a CSA victim using one of these coping mechanisms, and they will call you a pedo over your artistic expression and coping mechanism. They will call you a pedo. I've seen not only that happen, but I have seen CSA victims get mocked and belittled, and even being told that they deserved what happened to them because now they draw or like lolicon or non-con when it comes to their fictional characters that they consume. It's so disheartening, and I think this tweet, like I said, captures that frustration perfectly. It's a sad situation, and most of the people who are doing that behavior, by the way, younger people, just like we've been talking about this whole video. So yes, that is my boomerish rant on the youngins, and I'm sure there's plenty of young people watching this video. This is not a blanket statement, by the way. It's just a pretty big phenomenon going on in those groups. It's impossible to ignore at this point. And I know that plenty of you, if you're younger listening to this, I'm sure you understand. You wouldn't be here if you didn't agree with me. But yeah, don't take it too personally if you fall into those groups. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for this video. Very wild set of topics here, so please share all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.